It is getting to be the busy season. If you are in firewood, you know what I'm talking about. If you sell firewood, you know what I'm talking about. Things are really starting to kind of ramp up with the cooler temps moving in. The roadside stand has been taking a hit quite often, quite frequently. In fact, I think I'm on now the third or fourth day in a row where I've either had to restock the bundles or the bags or fill up the bins. Both have been now starting to move equally as much. I'm surprised at how many bundles are actually being bought. But anyway, the other day I had just gotten done, I had filled up, the stand was completely empty. I filled it up, and then I noticed that one of the slots in the front was empty, and also some bundles were gone. So when I went up to the stand, I got a little bit of a surprise when I found this. On the back side of the stand, someone had returned a bag full of used bags. And this is actually starting to happen more and more often. And I've gotten, I got this big bag returned. I got this bag returned. So it's people are starting to return the bags, which is great because that allows me to reuse them. However, that wasn't always the case. In the past, I would get bags returned to me, but I wasn't able to really reuse them. And I made a little switch in the way that I make the bags. Just one tiny little change, something so simple that I was overlooking it for a long time. And what I thought I was doing to benefit the customer actually was, I think, preventing them from being able to return the bags. So let me show you what that little thing is that I changed that's been making a big difference in having people return bags to be used again. So let me just get this filled up so that I can fill a bag and show you what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's just something that is going to seem very, I don't know, almost silly and kind of like, oh yeah, no kidding, duh, that would work better. All right, let me get another bag on this. And like reusing the bags, like you can kind of see that the label there is a little, you know, crinkled up and doesn't look the greatest right now, but once you fill these things up, like you can't really tell that these bags are reused. And the other thing is I don't think it matters to people buying them. I think they would rather reuse the bags. Or I think it gives them, it at least lets them know that, hey, this is something that is, you know, can be used again. And, you know, it's different from the wrap. So being able to reuse the bags is definitely an advantage over wraps. And now I just, I was going to show you what the little change was, and I just went right through it without even thinking because I'm just rambling on here. All right, so let me quick fill another one. All right, so the change that I made, I'm going to show you what I used to do. What I used to do is I used to take this handle, hopefully you can see that. I used to take this drawstring and I used to just tie 2 knots like this. And what I thought the advantage was that it would give the customers a way to pick the bag up and transport it around, all right? The problem is that once you pull and lift this thing up, this knot gets cinched in there pretty tight. And it's not as easy to undo this. Like it can get, I don't know, it's kind of hard to probably show and see, but it can get to be where you can't easily undo that knot. So what I started doing differently is I started taking the bags and I would tie them just like you tie your shoe. And this still allows a gap to pick up the bag, so you can still grab this and pick it up. The difference is you can now just pull this just like you would untie your shoe. You pull one string and the bag opens right back up. And now you can take your wood out. Maybe you don't use all of this in one sitting, but you can just take, you can take the wood out, and then it allows the bag to be used again much easier. So that's the simple thing, And the other thing is, like, once you open it, if you do need to move it, like say back into your garage, you can still use the drawstrings for a handle. It's just not tied shut. So that is what I found. I made that little change. I went from, well, here, let me just I'll tie one of these up. Let me make sure you can see this. So now what I do is I just tie this like I tie my shoes, and then you can still pick the bag up. Now, I'm not saying that you can't untie this drawstring the other way. It just takes a lot more futzing around, and it's kind of a little bit more inconvenient, I think, than tying it just like you tie your shoe, like that way. So it can be done the other way. I just think it's a lot easier that way, and making it easy, I think, is what makes the customers actually do it, instead of just taking the double knot and just like cutting the drawstring and opening up the bag just real quick. So it can be done, don't get me wrong. It's just, I think it's a lot easier and gives the customer that option to easily open the bag. And the other thing is, when you tie these, you don't need to actually tie it that tight. So you can leave a good enough gap in there to be able to still use that as a handle. So again, just something pretty simple, pretty easy. But if you are using bags and you've got yourself a Wolf Ridge Firewood bagging station, it is very nice. It's great to be getting. I don't even know how many bags are in here that they returned. And like I said, I've gotten these in the past returned to me. So now if those customers, all the bags they bought when they returned these, now they do the same thing to those bags. They come back, end up buying the bags I just refilled. In the end, I mean, I could potentially, I don't even know how many uses I could get out of these bags. I'm actually I'm all out of the yellow bags, and all of the yellow bags I've been selling for the last week and a half now have all been bags that have been returned. Sometimes the bags come back with some crumbs in it, so you do have to kind of dump those out. Not a big deal, easy enough to do. Dump out the crumbs. Slide your bag back on. Boom. A bag reused, recycled and reused. So if you're already using bags for your bundles, give that a try. Maybe you already do it. Like I said, it's something that it's pretty simple. Something that I don't even know what made me think of it. One day I just did that different, and that one little change has made a big difference in the amount of bags I'm seeing returned to the stand, and the quality and the ability to reuse those bags once they are returned. So I've gotten a lot of comments on whether or not people return the bags and whether or not the bags are reusable. And so here you go. This video answers both of those questions, and yes, the bags can be reused, and you actually do get customers returning them.